Unlearned Unlimited. Unlearned Unlimited.
Welcome to Unlearned Unlimited. My name is Dr. Sito Narcisse. We're super excited that you're here. We have another banger show for you. This week, we decided to bring in NABSE. And NABSE is a National Alliance for Secondary Black Educators in the United States, folks. As you can imagine, you have folks always organizing to bring educators together to do great things. And they always throw this big conference every single year with every Black person you can think of that do great things. There's some white people there too, but Black folks that are educated doing some great stuff around the nation. And we're just excited to have them here. So we said, can we bring all the people that make this thing work? So we have their entire leadership team, from their current president to their president-elect to you name the titles. These folks are big deals. And so we're just super humble and excited for them to be here. How you guys doing?
Hey.
Doing well.
Good. Well, welcome to our show. We're super excited that you're here. We're going to be talking about a whole lot of stuff and going to a whole lot of places. I know we did a little bit of homework on you guys, and also looked at all the great work. I know NABSE's been here about 50 years now. Is that correct?
Since 1970.
53 years. And so people don't know how much NABSE has been the pioneer of a lot of Black education in the entire United States. And it's like as we always say, it's a civil rights approach, right? If it wasn't for organizations like NABSE, I probably would not be here. Because I know when I was there, I used to look up to the folks before me that kind of be in education and do great things. And it's very humbling now to be on the other end to get to interview you guys in this process. So we're going to go and have a little bit of fun. We're going to dive right into it. Let's first talk about, before we go into this, I always say the best people that could tell you about themselves is themselves, right? We used to do all these resume stuff that we did. I was like, listen, why am I telling them? Let the people out there know who is NABSE, what do they do, what do they represent, and how do they help us in this work? And just to preset the audience out there, there's about 55 million students in the K-12 space, right? And for Black students in the United States, there's approximately between 7 to 8 million Black students in the country, right? And it doesn't matter what your socioeconomic is, your class, those things. Now, when you look at the teachers in there, any teacher, administrator, those things, NABSE represents pretty much all the folks. I mean, if you are in that space, they've signed up and been in NABSE, right? So we'll give you some more numbers around that, but we're going to talk a little bit about that and talk about how that make that impact. So anybody, Doc, I figure you're the president, Dr. Goffney. I got to yield to the president first. Tell us a little about NABSE, the great work. Tell us about the work y'all been doing.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having us for this moment. I am just honored and just pleased that you want to share the NABSE story because, my story is impossible without NABSE. I'm very fortunate. I've been an educator for over 25 years and literally 18 of those years I've been serving as a superintendent of schools. I currently serve in Houston, but literally I owe my success and everything that I get to do now to being involved with organizations like NABSE and our affiliates. And so it's my honor of a lifetime to be able to serve as president of the National Alliance of Black School Educators. Our organization serves over 4,000 members from across the United States, Canada, Africa, and the Virgin Islands, you name it. Last year or a year and a half ago, I was president-elect. We had a conference and we convened over 2,000 registrants. So it's a pretty powerful organization where we come together. And what's unique about NABSE that is unlike other organizations is we serve parents, we serve administrators, we serve superintendents, we serve teachers, we serve school board members, retired educators, you name it. And what we love about it is we come together for just one purpose, and that is to make the educational experience possible for all the students who look like us and all of those who are across our country and across the world.
Well, now, Dr. Goffney, I don't have, I can say what I want to say now because I'm not on the K-12 side, but don't worry, I won't get political. But I will say this, NABSE has produced probably some of the best superintendents in the
Oh,
United States
absolutely.
and
No,
educators. So I know you got to be humble. So nobody says you're not humble, but Dr. Goffney is also one of the best superintendents in the country. So I'm saying that, which you might not want to say, so nobody feels like we're bragging too much, but it is what it is, right? So NABSE has done that with a lot of educators and folks doing great work, from principals, superintendents. I mean, there's a line of folks that have done great work, and we just want to congratulate you about the great work you're doing in your community. So, and all the educators here too. So, really excited about that. Let me ask a couple of questions. We'll start to kick off. Well, let me do this first. Let me allow you, Dr. Goffney, to introduce the team.
Oh, I'll be honored to. I wouldn't be able to do the work. It's not about one person, which is what I love about the National Alliance of Black School Educators. It's about us all coming together. And if you've experienced the power of NABSE, you know the power of unity, because where there's unity, there's strength. And we have an exceptional executive director, Ms. Phyllis Willis, Williams. Well, I got you a new name, Ms. Phyllis Williams. We also have a president-elect who's phenomenal, Dr. Kimberly McLeod. Her work across the higher ed space and pre-K-12 space, I mean, to set the bar. She served locally, she served nationally, and I'm super excited that she'll be coming in and hosting our conference. And so you'll hear from her and her team as well. Dr. Blake, since I met him, he is just like amazing. Like, he's doing great work in his district, but also great work helping NABSE to be the best that they can be. And certainly excited about his leadership as secretary. And two women that I hold dear to my heart, the former officer of NABSE, but also our conference co-secretary. I was looking at your title, Statia. She is amazing, 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 amazing. When you hear her talk, you'll know why she is so amazing. She has a light that just shines, and you'll see the power that she brings to our organization. And really excited about future Dr. Charlette Strickland, who I just met. And I hope I pronounced your name correctly, but she's our conference co-secretary as well. And just hard workers, because what we realize about this work, some may call it hard work, but it's hard work. And we're doing it to make a difference.
Well, I know a couple of your leaders on there, so I could qualify that they work hard for young people. So, well, let me start asking a couple of questions, and then folks can go from there. And I do have some specific questions. I'll tell her to some specific folks, and then some others folks will give them the opportunity. I wanted to ask about, so just a little bit around the traditional context of what would you say is NABSE's major focus deeply as they try to revitalize in this space, not only helping kids to connect, but also the community, right? And the reason I bring this up is because, most people don't know that communities are part of schools and schools are part of communities, right? And the more you have the children are doing well, the more you see that community is vibrant. So tell us a little bit about that work.
So I know what it was for me and what we tried to create as an organization and what we're striving to overcome. Growing up many times while our Black educators across the country are doing a yeoman's job in the isolation in their individual districts. When I first became aware of NABSE, I was serving in a small rural town where I was the only one, only African-American student in the region. However, when I was able to come to a National Alliance of Black School Educator convening, it was powerful to see doctors, to see smart people who are doing great work, to learn about how we improved outcomes for Black children, and which helped elevate the educational experience for all children. And so we want the National Alliance of Black School Educators to be the premier organization that it is, to help support educators from across the world, but specifically the country, so that we can tackle some of the biggest problems in public education right now. When we think about the educational gaps and opportunity and access, we want to make sure that our educators are equipped, but also that our students are getting the education that they deserve.
And what has been, I looked on you guys' site. I know that the goals and the things that you guys have been focusing on has been around pipeline work, getting kids to do well in terms of their reading, those things. What have you guys prioritized as you go into this year under this space around education? As you can see, there's a lot of We're going to go into a couple of delicate things, of course, but what I want to really find out is what has been like. I know you guys have been thinking about a lot of strategy and those things. What has been the major pipeline work right now that you'd say you guys are really targeting in?
Yeah, so some of the pipeline work, we have pipelines. Well, let me step back. When you asked about NABSE and what we mean and how we're anchored, part of it is building pipelines so that our educators and those that have desire to root themselves in this industry have the mentorship, the
Yes.
wisdom, and the intellectual capacity to enter those positions and stay in them with sustainability. So, to that, we have pipelines for aspiring superintendents. We have pipelines for aspiring central office, for aspiring principals and administration. We have pipelines specifically dedicated for parents, for advocacy at the school board, where they are paying their taxes, where they should have a voice and it should not be drowned out. So showing how to use those voices. We have pipelines that we'll begin developing through our National Education Policy Institute for those that want to advocate in their communities on a civic basis, how to intersect, how to influence, and how to impact policy, not only on a national level, not only on an international level, but in their backyard. And so part of the pipeline is training a group of individuals that are invested because this is their heart work, this is the legacy work, and this is the work that needs to be done for sustainability. So that's one piece, but it's not only K-12. We have a pipeline. What happens after K-12? What's next? And so creating the bridge to higher education, wherever that may be, and lead them. We don't want them to stop. If they choose to, but we don't want them to stop with a high school education. We wanted, wherever the possibilities are, we want to be able to civically advocate for access. We want to prepare individuals for that. We're also preparing students, those that want to go into education at the university, those that are in K-12 through youth summits, youth pipelines. So when you talk about a pipeline, it's our, if you will, utopia environment or ecosystem. I wanted to say Wakanda, but it's our own.
Listen, you can say that. You can say that. It's okay.
So we're the vibranium, right? And when I say that, it means the work that we should do should be sustainable through our bloodline, beyond my existence, beyond yours, that our future students are living in the opportunities that we create today.
Well, I could definitely co-sign on that. When I think about the colleagues and different folks we engage in education, especially folks who are, whether they're teachers, board members, or superintendents, NABSE has played a huge role in their development over the years. A question I had, Dr. McLeod, just to add on that is, what are the challenges, if you had to name the top 2 or 3 challenges you're seeing right now around those particular issues, what would you say they are?
I would say that we not only have what people will call achievement gaps, that I don't believe are achievement gaps. I believe they're opportunity and access gaps.
That's right.
And we see that through achievement. But we have those gaps. We don't have the representation in the classroom. We don't have the representation. If you think about the representation of those of African descent in K-12, divide that by 3, and that's what it looks like in higher ed. And we already know that if students
So you're saying it's actually worse, the representation is worse in higher ed?
Oh my goodness, yes. Yes. I mean, just if you didn't go to an HBCU, count how many faculty members you had of African descent. And those that are in administration, it's even more disenfranchised. And what I'm saying is, when someone like you, when you explained your background, children like mine, we already know that if they see an educator of African descent, they're 13 times more likely to be academically successful. With 2, that's over 30% more likely to be successful in school. When they don't see that representation, the unintentional message that we are sending is that people of intellectual capacity, authority, and leadership, which teachers have that value in students' eyes, those positions aren't meant for you, because if they were, then where are they? Because they're not in the classroom.
So let's premise it this way. So I just want to make sure everyone's, because so if you had to tell folks, you guys need to unlearn this, right? Because there's perception and there's reality, right? You tend to learn, I learned a while that people don't look at numbers. They have a lot of opinions, right? And there's also a lot of perception, right?
Yeah.
But when you look at the actual numbers and those things, you can clearly see that there are pipelines that made a difference in education, right? If it wasn't historical Black colleges in this space, you wouldn't have certain folks in spaces. If you didn't have organizations like NABSE, just pipelines wouldn't be created, right? And so when you think about the work that you guys are doing and you talk about those representation challenges, clearly, I mean, you could make an argument whether things are getting better or worse, right? But the question is, like, from a strategy standpoint, as your organization is tackling that issue, where do you feel is the thing that people need to unlearn when it comes to this issue?
I'll say one thing and I'll stop talking, because you got all these other people and they are brilliant. I will tell you that. If you're a cat and you want to be a cheetah, you have to stop chasing rats. And one of the things that we have to begin to unlearn is our own ceiling. There's this saying that says the sky is the limit until you've been to outer space. And we will put these limits on ourselves and what we can do and what our possibilities are, because that's what somebody else has told us or what the culture has enculturated us to believe, because of the absence of mentors, the absence of people that identify with those that are growing. So the one thing that we can unlearn is who you are is more than what you understand at this point. And there is no limitation to what you want to do. You just have to persist. You have to endure. You have to be and understand this thing of resilience and perseverance in spite of challenges. Challenges don't come to break you. There are opportunities to build you to get to the next level. So I'm going to stop, because you got these brilliant people on here.
So we just call that drop the mic moment, Doc. My parents would be excited right now, because in my house, I didn't grow always in the best neighborhoods, but when we started to do well, my mom was very clear about Black excellence and also how to be a good role model, right? So that was kind of what we were always taught on with education in school. Let me go into I'm gonna ask another question just to give you some statistics, right? So did a little bit of homework, and one of the things that we noticed, that every time that there's sets of challenges around, whether you're looking at how people talk about students or teachers or those things, they always bring out these numbers, right? So they'll say, if you look at the vantage point from an organization, in 2022, they had a study that showed that only 19% of Black fourth graders were proficient in reading, right? Everybody uses these reading numbers, right? Compared to 43% of their white students. And they said that these statistics are statistics that have been challenges, not because of only kids going to school, but their environment, right? That has impacted a lot of different ways with resources. When you look at your organization, as you're building a pipeline and working with folks to think through the challenges in the communities on how to raise performance in reading, those type of stuff, what are things that you guys are doing to help build that pipeline work to get to understand how to tackle these challenges?
Yeah, I could jump in there with team. So one of the things that NABSE is popular with, we have commissions, and our commissions are broken into the educator work that you see in K-12 education, such as the administration commission. I used to be the chair of the administration commission, and this commission is for folks who are current school leaders, aspiring school leaders, and even folks who might want to become district leaders. And during my time as a commission chair, I held professional development opportunities, whether they was virtual and in person, to really talk about the work around what does it mean to be a Black educator in a Black community teaching Black students. And we really highlighted different strategies that work for us, that depicts a success. So we do that work through our commission work. We also have a superintendent's commission, where I have never been in a room sitting with 40 or 50 superintendents that look like me and sound like me. So as someone who aspires to become a superintendent one day, just to hear the voices of the challenges that they are currently facing in their current jobs gives me hope that these challenges could be overcome through strategy and through actionable next steps. So that work is done of achieving and closing the access gap and the opportunity gap by bringing us together in our affinity circles through our commission work with NABSE.
You know, interesting. I think I saw a number, and that there was probably less than 5% of superintendents in the entire United States that are even Black. Is that? I know or it could be even less than that. And what's interesting about it is like 15,000 plus districts, right? So, when I hear people talk about whether these superintendents have opportunity, I'm like, who are you talking about? Like, like compared to the rest of the nation, and sometimes, our society gets caught up trying to separate us by gender first and all these other categories. But I tell folks, you can easily see where the marginalization kind of begin and where the pipeline work needs to go into. So let me go ahead. I'm going to pivot to Ms. Williams. I want to ask you a question as the executive director. You've seen the evolution of educational practices over time, I'm sure. And the historical practices, can you offer on how a failure to understand and adapt to unique cultural and social contexts of Black students has perpetuated these disparities over time?
Yes. Basically my upbringing is my father was in the United States Air Force. And so because we moved around so many times, I never was out of school no more than 2 years at a time. And of all of the schools that I went to, I can truly say that I might have seen 1 or 2 Black educators. And so, with that, and then growing up with the challenge of just being that only Black student in that classroom, I get jealous when I hear other people say, oh, my favorite teacher was this, or my favorite teacher was this person. And I can't think of a favorite teacher because just the fact that, it was never focused, but I never had a focus like that, or a teacher never focused in input to me. And so with NABSE, I just feel like we offer the mentorship to those educators to go out and develop relationships with those students, so then they won't have to grow up like I did, not knowing who is my favorite teacher or who is that one that poured into me. I come from a family of educators. My sister is an educator, and all 3 of my children are educators. And so, and that is the one thing that I do instill into all of them, is that you have to develop relationships with those students that you teach and that you spend time with. And so that's what I feel like is the most important thing, when a student knows that you're, supporting them in all that they may have been going through. Kids now are going through things that we don't even heard of as an adult, but they're going through it as children now. And so now is more vital time for us to, open up and listen without judgment.
What are you guys doing to create? What are you guys doing to create the pipeline? So right now we know that there are less teachers going into pipeline, less Black teachers, right? What are you guys doing in that space to kind of begin to foster that approach in the country?
I can support. Part of that is, one, being able to communicate for those that are in higher ed that come in saying, I want to be a teacher, and knowing that almost maybe a third of them may be left when it's time to actually test and move into actually becoming a teacher, is creating the public image that this is an incredible opportunity. It's a great job. The influence, the impact with our youth that aspire to become teachers. We have a pipeline with our youth summit to help mentor and guide them. What better place for them to experience the possibilities that they have than at this conference, when they see people that look like them in every single position that exists? So trying to get them in the space where they want to be, could be, desire to be, or shape the space that we're in now. They need to know that their voice has power. Everything that we do, we should have a student voice there with us. We give scholarship opportunities. We went to Atlanta last year, gave out over $35,000 in scholarships to those that are looking to go into this field. In other words, what we want, we can't wait for somebody else to do it for us. If
Right.
we do not do it, it's not going to be done. We can't
Mm-hmm.
depend on any other association to advocate for children of African descent to step in the line for our community. If we don't learn how to do it, then we're dependent upon someone else to do that for us. So we are, I don't want to say aggressively, but with intention and strategic purpose, are reaching out and creating partnerships with people who share the interest to build our pipeline. We would love for all of them to be educators. But if they choose not to, you need to know whatever it is that you want to be, the educators are going to help you get there.
If we get, like I said, we get to get out to a lot of people in the audience. If you needed, when you think about your partnerships that you have, right? Partners, you need partners for a lot of things. Bring in dollars for scholarships, bring in resources and different things. What are the type of partners if you guys have partnered with, and what are the partners you wish you could have to help you accomplish more of the work you're trying to get done?
The beauty of NABSE is we have all kinds of partners from different realms, from higher ed, which Dr. McLeod has alluded to others who are early entrepreneurs who come and provide different support, like she's alluded to at some of our youth summits or other organizations. We have partners who believe in the power of the teacher. And so they have invested in our National Teacher Institute, as we talked about earlier. It's one thing to become a teacher. And then when you become a teacher, as I stated earlier, you're the only African-American male teacher. And so you need a different type of support, brotherhood per se, that's going to help sustain you and retain you in that position. And so when we think about any of our other partners, I don't want to name names, if I don't name their names,
right?
Then, but STEM is so important. While we talk about literacy a lot, and our partners who've helped us to embrace and understand the importance of science, technology, engineering, and math, and adding the arts, we have those who are kind of forward thinking as it relates to AI, and they've come in and worked with not only educators, but also the students, as we alluded to earlier. And so we have partners who have proof points. They have been effective in other districts, whether in a district that future Dr. Statia works in, or future Charlette, or future Dr. Blake, all of us, Dr. Blake, any of us, they have proof points, and they come share the examples of how they've been able to drastically or significantly improve student outcomes. And consequently, it provides a strategy for our teachers who come to our convenings, our conference, and they go back and they implement. And so our partners, again, I'm trying to be careful, Phyllis, not name a specific one,
right,
but
you want them to keep giving you money, not less.
Exactly. Why didn't you say my name? But I'm grateful because we don't just want people to, it's not about the money. It's about the opportunity to make a difference, because we recognize most of us on this call, I can speak for myself for sure. I'm able to live the dream because of the educational experience that I had. And we recognize that we have students who are depending on us to get it right so they can live their dreams. And so we want people who have done the work, and we can come and share exemplars, and then we can go back and put those practices in place that are going to help improve student outcomes.
And I just want to add to what Dr. Goffney says. And I want to add to her perspective, because she really is passion, and it shows in her legacy and her track record. But it is about the money for me. You put skin in our game. We're investing in you. You need to invest in us. And so,
no. Let me be clear. Yeah, no, I wasn't saying that. I'm just saying, if you're not proven, if you hadn't done the work, it's not about that. So yes, but thank you for adding that color, because I totally agree with you.
And then lastly, partners at the legislative level that will put our members on committees that are developing policy, so our voice is not absent. And that piece, it's not just from the bottom up, but we need to make sure from the top down that our voice and our purpose is present.
Yeah, one thing I will say, as I climbed up the ranks, I was in all these districts, and until I was fortunate to become a superintendent. what I did notice as I moved higher and higher, right, you get exposed to more and more, right? And you begin to look around, you're like, wait a minute, what I saw, down at the classroom looks different as an administrator. And then as you move up, you figure out you're also dealing with different folks. I never forget when I was a superintendent, I said, wow, these folks are not even in the school system, but they influence the school system, right? So you're learning all these things. My question is around this legislative piece, right? We don't always see enough advocacy of that in the legislature and how much influence it has, right? I mean, you move up all the way up, whether you're at the university level or at the superintendent, you begin to get really exposed into these worlds, and the average teacher doesn't know this. But the question I'm asked is, what are you guys doing to build a pipeline on getting more advocates at that level?
I know Dr. McLeod is passionate about this. And so, so she's been able to do, we're from Texas. She and I both are from Texas, and she's a past president of the Texas Alliance of Black School Educators, because we have affiliates, again, all over this country and all over the world. So anyway, long story short, we must have a seat at the table. And I know from the different spaces that I get to walk in, I know the responsiveness that's applied to certain organizations and certain members of the community. And we just want to make sure, and Dr. McLeod's going to go in, I promise you're going to unleash because she understands where the decisions are being made. And we want to be at those tables.
How many affiliates do you guys have?
We have over 100 affiliates throughout the United States.
And internationally.
And internationally. And you're represented in almost every state in the country, is that correct?
For the majority of states, yes.
Every state, yes.
Okay. And so if there's a state that wanted to build an affiliate, those things, all they'd have to do, there's a process, I'm assuming they'd have to contact you and those things. Is that correct?
Yes.
So I always say there's a lot of opportunities. So, trying to get as many folks involved and engaged. I want to get Statia and Charlette into this mix, right? So I know you guys are sitting down being quiet. So I want to ask you just some questions around best practices, because I know you guys are probably working through what are some of the best practices you would say that you guys are trying to make sure that really permeates through the members and also the folks that engage with NABSE?
I'll go first. Just thinking about the fact of those of us who are of African descent, we are by nature collectivist people. And so what that means, there's power in our collective voice. And so we learn and have always learned by sharing of information, storytelling, all of those things. And I look at NABSE as that space for people to be able to share those best practices, to just really touching on what you talked about before about the reading data and different spaces where we may be seeing educational challenges. What's so powerful is being able to come to a conference and hearing people talk about how they have overcome those challenges, and you being able to walk away with notes and connections and a person to talk to about this actually is being done in other spaces. So I don't have to feel defeated.
Right.
So I may be the only Black person in my state doing these things, but now I have the connections of thousands of other Black people who are doing some amazing things across our country. And so it just gives you hope. Just thinking about from the historical aspect of it, like as a novice educational scholar, sitting down and reading Dr. Leslie Fenwick's book, Jim Crow's Pink Slip, where she alluded to the power of NABSE, the letters that they wrote, all the things they did in the 1950s to make sure that our voices were heard, and their power of having Black principals, Black teachers, Black school board members, in order to make sure that we're changing what education looks like for all of our students. So just a powerful space to be able to sit in and be around other people who are doing some amazing things.
And right now, I was trying to give some figures that we did our homework on a little bit about how many students. So right now, Black students make up 15% of the K-12 population, and only 7% of public school teachers are Black. That's approximate. These are approximate numbers. I know those numbers shift between 1% or 2%. Is there any concern around creating spaces where they not only be able to retain them, but they have spaces to kind of give their voice or to engage, sustain the profession? And the reason I bring that up is because I'm going to go into the touchy part of this whole conversation is around the politics, right? The unspoken politics right now. I think Dr. Goffney, you say you're in Texas, and Dr. McLeod, so you guys are front centered right now in the Texas world, what's going on in that space. And I think you, Dr. Blake, you and Charlette is in DC, is that correct? So you got that space going on. I'm not sure, Statia, where you're located, and Phyllis, but when you look at the way the country is, it's almost like right now education is almost under attack in a lot of different ways, and you now see people a little more cautious than anything around this. How are you guys thinking about trying to, one, motivate, inspire, help people to stay in this space, and also I guess the word would be have a backbone to be able to get through all the rhetoric that's going on right now in education?
Well, I'll jump in. One thing that I think is really important during this time is to really understand what legislation is saying, and then how do you solve around that puzzle piece, right? Charlette, I'm glad you dropped earlier, like, we've got all of these lessons learned. People have been doing the things that we now have shiny names for, and we coined in these frameworks and all of these things. But when we go back to the basics of people like Dr. James Comer, right? He's the godfather of SEL before SEL was a
right.
We're talking about a holistic approach to teaching children. That's back in 1968. So I'm going to go back to that holistic approach of teaching children, because you have bastardized SEL or inclusion or diversity. No problem. We can do whole child. I got you on that. When it comes to, now you can't say this or can't do that. I love being a thesaurus. I really do. We have been a thesaurus as a people for a long time. We're not about what we name a thing. We're about the outcomes that come from the actions. And so I think it's just really important to not allow ourselves to feel shackled, and to really see it as an opportunity to do what is a part of our DNA. We've constantly been in spaces where it was like, no, you can't have this, you can't do that. Oh, you're just going to give me the scraps from the table? No problem. Look at this soul food and this divine meal that I've made. And now you're like, oh, well, I would like to have some of that. And so NABSE gives you that increased exposure to people who will not accept no. Take me to somebody that can give me a yes or a not yet, but it's coming.
As you've been a part of this organization, what has been the most surprising thing, right? I mean, when you join groups and you advocate and you push, what would you say has been the most surprising? One is, it's clear about your passion, right? But there's always an aha moment that happens, right? You're like, wait a minute, right? I mean, I know for me, it used to be like, wow, I'm not the only person, right? So that's what NABSE did for me. I was like, when I got there, I was like, oh, okay. Now, I may have been the only person in that one school, that one city, at one town. But then as I got exposed to more, I was like, wait a minute, there's a lot like-minded people going through the same sets of experiences to help me navigate things that, I just didn't know, right? What would you say is like you guys' aha moment as you've been building and pushing in the organization to do all these great things?
I think my most aha moment, and I want to give it to all of our volunteers, people who have put in their time, their, sharing their talents with the organization without getting paid, but having that commitment to being there, to doing the work. We could not get to where we are today without those people who are volunteer their time and give to the organization from the heart. And so I want to give a shout out to all of our volunteers, because we so appreciate the time and the work and the support that they give our organization. This is almost a total volunteer organization. So I want to shout it out for our volunteers. I'm so impressed on, the support that they give us to make us successful.
And if I may add, I just believe that anyone who comes to their first National Alliance Black School Educators conference or convening or activity, it won't be their last. Because for me, it provided a sense of community and family that when you're in isolation or working alone, you don't realize. And then it also breaks the narrative. There's a a lot of uh, uh, public sentiment around how Black people interact and connect with one another. But the love is shown, the sincerity of being willing to help and support, no matter where you reside, whether you reside in Texas or in DC. Opportunity to share resources, to share experiences, and to network in a different way. And it doesn't matter about title. While there are superintendents or higher ed professors at our conference, like I said earlier, there's a parent piece as well as administrative piece, but more important, the heart of the work is our teachers. Everyone comes in and everyone is supportive to each other. Many say it feels like a family reunion that's centered around public education. And so there's no other convening like it. Once you come to one NABSE conference, it won't be your last, because I was extended an invitation to attend, and I have not missed one since I attended my first one, because the experience is so valuable.
I was just thinking about as you guys are thinking forward to the next level of work, what are you guys' thoughts as you think about your strategy around AI and workforce development? Right now in the country, that's the big conversation around how the direction of education, right? And you hear, I now that I walk into schools now, not being in a district, but like just as a regular person, I watch people chat GPT and all over the place. So they're doing all these different things with AI and trying to learn as quickly as possible, because technology has been changing the world. How are you guys thinking about that? And how are you guys thinking about preparing kids earlier to get into the workforce? As you hear, there's a lot of different conversations between the collaboration between K-12 and colleges and universities and career technical schools.
No, I was going to say, I think that would be a great pivot to like where the conference come into play, where like different workshops and different sessions will definitely highlight the use of like artificial intelligence for K-12. So, Dr. Narcisse, the proposals and the workshops that we have that will be coming to our conference will build teacher capacity around that, around how to utilize workforce development and prepare our scholars for that piece as we prepare for our conference coming up this upcoming winter.
Now, with your streams around AI, you're going to have different streams for different groups, from whether you're board member down to teacher to professors at university. You're going to have various streams of that, and parents as well?
Yep, our workshops are broken up into like for parents, for retirees, for superintendents, for aspiring educators, for current leaders. So there will be something for everyone along that stream for sure. Yes.
And what about the space of workforce development? And the reason I'm bringing this up is because there's a pattern that we're also seeing now that we would argue that there's a fight going on between pathways for kids where they go, right? And what nobody wants to say out loud, which I have no problem saying, is it feels like if you're coming from a marginalized community, there's a particular pathway people want you to be in. And ladies and gentlemen, it don't look like any of the degrees we got, right? Right. And so not to say that a child shouldn't have a choice, right? But to me, the question is around access. What are you guys doing to help families, communities, the leaders, to try to get them to broaden their minds to understand that, hey, more means more options and opportunities, versus what I'm seeing in certain places I go is, hey, you look like they're preparing you to go work in the factory, right? And then they're preparing you to go be the CEO of the company. And they're preparing you to, you can see that between class, race, and all those things. Are you guys having those type of conversations with folks? And is that something that you see from your end as you engage with people in your membership?
Something, and it connects to like my aha of NABSE. Like I heard the term Black excellence before, right? But it was something that was very abstract. You're like, oh yeah, you're walking in and it's like this mecca. You have a sea of Black professionals. It is something that takes your breath for a moment. And so as we approach various aspects of education, because you are amongst Black excellence, no one's telling us, hey, this is the agenda for this year. We're already there. We've already been having the conversations, and we've been focused on critical thinking, right? And so when you have a focus of being a critical thinker, then you're adaptive into whatever the space may be. So if I want to strengthen my ability to engage in artificial intelligence, I'm there. I know how to do that. I know how to problem solve. I know how to network. I know how to talk to people. I know how to be resilient and continue to press forward. Oh, well, no, I need to pivot into a space of being able to navigate moving into higher education. Do I have the things that are necessary? And so I think one of the things about NABSE that comes not only from the intentional planned strands that we have, but in that networking, in that shoulder to shoulder conversation you're having with different people who may or may not be in the exact same strand of work that you're in, but they all have that Black excellence outcome, right? And that's what they're all working towards. So that's the way that they think, that's the way that they move. And so, NABSE isn't waiting for the agenda to be handed to us. NABSE is a place where we articulate where we're going and support all of those that are on board with us. And we also call you to come, like, come on out the corner. It's okay. We got you. So that's one of the things that I think NABSE has done an excellent job. And I'm confident in our ability to continue to move forward and be ready for whatever the world brings.
Well, I got 3 final questions, and I want to get us to just talk a little bit more about the conference a little bit, just a couple more questions about conference. So, for question number 1 is, this year, you guys have accomplished a lot. What are you the most proud of that you've accomplished in the past year, in the last school year?
There's so many things that we're proud of. We're proud of the fact that we created a coalition of allies that came together for a period of time to think strategically about the time we're in and how we meet this moment. We're proud of the fact that when we turned 50 a couple of years ago, we looked at, what's the NABSE next 50 and some priorities that we needed to set around that. We're proud of the fact that we were able to convene a National Teacher Institute during the summer for teachers who came from all across the country to connect and be inspired, and so that it ultimately could go back to their districts and have an impact. We're proud that we continue to convene in our commissions, and they're growing stronger. We have strong commission work. You asked earlier about having our affiliates in every state, which is a goal of ours. And we're proud that we have, there were some states in which we had local affiliates, but we didn't have a state affiliate. And now we've launched and have state affiliates that are providing that support at the local level. As Dr. McLeod said, it is not just about what's happening globally or nationally or even at the state level and many times, but locally in your own backyards. We're proud of the work that's been happening at those affiliates to make sure that they're strong, especially to meet the moment. And we're proud of the conferences being planned for December under the leadership of Dr. McLeod. So I'm really excited for the convening, recognizing the timeliness of it and the fact that, as you alluded to earlier, and we all have experienced, anybody in education, regardless of what state they're in, they recognize that, post-COVID, public educators are being attacked on every level, whether pre-K-12 or higher ed. However, we continue to show up for other people's children from across the country in order to meet the needs of the students that we serve. And so we're looking forward to the convening.
And what do you look forward to?
Dr. McLeod, I'll let you take that one since I'll pass the baton to you and as the conference chair.
And the conference secretaries, we have not done this. I have not done this by myself without the support of the future Dr. Charlette and the future Dr. Statia and Dr. Blake. What we're looking forward to is inviting people who have not experienced what a village means. We hear the quote, it takes a village to raise a child, but not everybody has had that opportunity to know what it means to be in a village and not isolated, trying to figure things out all by yourself. We're looking forward to that. There's this, biblical that says, no weapon formed against you shall prosper. It doesn't mean that weapons won't be formed. But in the environment and the ecosystem that we are creating, what we are saying is they will not prosper. And to be able to have that anchor and that strength to know you do not have to figure this out by yourself. You want to meet with someone? We have moments with mentors. We have aspiring pipelines. We have workshops that can give you what you need. You will have the opportunity to connect with who you need to connect. Do you have a need to mentor? We're going to have a youth summit. Do you need have the need to empower your parents to have presence in what they're what is experienced on the family level. We have a parent symposium. We have school board members. Do you want to know what it's like to run for office, to have a voice in I used to tell our members at Texas that if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. And we have been on the menu far too long. And institutionalized systems are eating up our progress and potential bit by bit. And it is time for us to get off of the menu. And what we are saying at NABSE, when you come to this conference, you have a seat at the table. When you become a member, you are part of a commission. You are part of a region. You are part of a state. You are part of a local. You're not a hand trying to find a body. You are the body. And we are showing you ways that you can execute and implement that brings meaning, not just to yourself, but the communities that you serve and that you lead. And that's what, for me, as the conference chair, look forward to. But our secretaries have as much voice as I do.
Well, we know that you so the conference is going to be in Chicago. Is that correct? And it's going to be in Chicago in December. Well, the dates are
December 10th through the 14th at the Hyatt Regency Hotel in Chicago off of Wacker.
Okay, so you guys will see, as you guys already see on there, where we have the posts up with the QR code, so you can go ahead and go ahead and register. And if you want to go to the website, you go see there. So we're going to keep posting it up for the next couple of weeks, trying to make sure you guys get a lot of registers going on. One thing I wanted to bring up that resonates. I always relate NABSE to my own personal professional career. You don't know what you don't know until you ask. Mm-hmm. My mother used to say to me, if you don't talk to anybody, nobody's going to talk to you back, right? And the thing that was interesting in my household, even though they were just folks trying to raise some kids to become good Black men, as she would say, her view of the world was, you got to put your ego to the side. It's not about degrees. It's about you asking for mentorship, connecting with the right people to go after access. And what I think is great about the organization that I've seen is NABSE is I made so much good networking, connections and mentorships and friends. I don't know if I would have been able to be where all the opportunities I had if it wasn't for that space. And if I could share with any of our audience, those of you out there that are educators, and if you're not Black, doesn't mean you can't go. There's white people that go to the conference too, I suppose. It's educators who are trying to impact Black children that have all sorts of challenges or all sorts of success that you want, and seeing Black excellence from all levels. I think sometimes people don't think, they think of NABSE, they only think of the K-12 space, but they have no clue. There's a whole university pipeline in that space too. If you think about if you want to be a future president, there's a lot of things that you learn in that space. And we're really hopeful that a lot more people come out to be able to see the great work that you guys are doing. So as you guys will see at the audience, we're going to have our flashcard up of NABSE. We'll send information to you. Is there any final words you want to leave before we wrap up?
I do. You asked something that we're proud of. NABSE is an organization. It's an international organization. But I am the most proud. This past year as an organization, we had some bumps. We had some big bumps. We had some losses. And the spirit of Ubuntu that you could palatably feel throughout NABSE was huge. When Dr. McLeod talks about it, she says, you're not alone. You're not alone. I am in rooms that I used to dream about because of the connections I had at NABSE, right? And so like that collective success, I am because you are, is something that is, you have to experience it. You can't talk about it. You can't just let somebody read it. You've got to be in the work. And when you're in the work, you will experience it. And it gives you something more than you could have ever imagined.
Well, we thank you guys so much for everything that you do. We're going to be promoting with you guys the work. We're hopeful to come out as well to the conference where we can actually cover and talk to some of your members live in Chicago. We'll get some folks, because I always say, it's nothing like people seeing Black excellence. They talk about it. Sometimes they think it's only in a movie or a show. Like, no, they actually exist. And all of Black excellence is not just entertainers and athletes. There's more to that, right? So we're just excited for the opportunity to be able to get the word out around the work. We appreciate everything you guys do. If you like the show, make sure that you share, like, subscribe. You can also contribute. You can find us on Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, you name it. We'll keep playing the clips. If you have any questions for any of the leadership members at NABSE, please make sure you do comments or send us some emails. What we love about this show is that we've always made sure that the guests come back and they make sure they reach back to you. Every guest that we've had has always reached out. You can, now these days, everybody has all type of technology. I don't know if NABSE has an Instagram, but you could DM them. There's so many things. We'll have all of their links on all of our social media channels and to share with all the leaders across the country and also anybody else that's just interested in general. There's always a place for you to find a solution if you're looking for it. We appreciate that. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for coming out. We really appreciate it. And that's our show, another banger, Unlearned Unlimited.
Unlimited, 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 unlimited.